So this is a very good question, and I want to bank on it as the position of the committee and the House, by extension, that we need official records of the releases of funds, the new Naira note to the commercial banks.
Weekly.
At least so far, from the time they started to date.
Yes.
Please, go ahead, Omoma.
We are lucky that we have, in Central Bank, there's hardly anybody who says that in his locality there's nobody working in Central Bank. All over the 36s of the country. Those people, I doff my heart for them. They've left their job in the last 3.5 weeks. They have been in the villages, in the localities. They take cash, even when the banks are a little bit lackadaisical about it. They take cash from the CBN, maybe take like 5 billion. They go to those localities and do cash exchange for everybody. At the end of the day, they bring back old notes, 5 million naira, and they lodge it back in the CBN just to make sure that even when you don't have an account, you can exchange this money.
Thanks that I use this opportunity to welcome you and your team to this very important engagement with the House of Representatives on behalf of the Nigerian people and by extension through this important committee. When a committee of this nature is sitting, it sits as a house itself, because we're sitting on the mandate of the House, and the House rides on the mandate of the Nigerian people. So by implication, Mr. Governor, you are engaging with the Nigerian people in this formal capacity. I welcome you and members of your team for this engagement, and for purposes of remarks, I would like to take it again that the import of our engagement with you today was based on the mandate of the House of Representatives through a motion that was raised on the floor addressing the concern of the Nigerian people, the fears of the Nigerian people, through the House of Representatives. That at this point in time, when the central bank embarked upon a policy, financial policy, to redesign the Naira note, bring in new Naira note, and mop out the old Naira note, the House, upon presentation of this motion by my very good friend, Right Honorable Sada Soli, deliberated on the motion, and we felt we have the moral obligation, we have the constitutional duty and responsibility to invite the institution of the central bank under your leadership to come and engage, of course, with the people of Nigeria through their representatives. They are here seated. It is on this note that you are here with us, and I want to be very categorical that this is a legislative committee that has got no mandate to investigate. It's not an investigative committee. It's a fact-finding committee. To interface with you,
I thank you for giving us an opportunity to come address you this morning. But I think it's important first for me to address my unavoidable absence to heed the invitation of the committee. On the 2 occasions that invitations had been extended to us, but first let me apologize for my inability to be here. It was not intended to undermine your work, undermine the committee, neither is it intended to undermine the hallowed chambers of the House of Representatives. Unfortunately, I was out of the country on these 2 occasions, either when I was on my official vacation, or the last one being when I was member of the presidential delegation to the Dakar 2 summit at Dakar, Senegal. Those were the reasons. But of course, before then, I think when the issue, this same issue, coupled with the issue of the withdrawal, is it limit and all that came up at the plenary, we sent our representatives, chaired or led by our Deputy Governor, Mr. Aisha Ahmad, and I understand they presented themselves and provided explanation. Honorable members, please let me say that you are all aware that currency management is a key function of the Central Bank of Nigeria. as enshrined in Section 2, subsection B of the CBN Act 2007. And indeed, the integrity of a local legal tender, the efficiency of its supply, as well as its efficacy in the conduct of monetary policy are some of the hallmarks of a great central bank. And we have done our best working and with your support and your cooperation to make sure that we do our work. And today I think I must continue to give credit to our colleagues at the Central Bank of Nigeria for the excellent job that they have been doing, even trying to make sure that the Central Bank of Nigeria remains one of the most respected central banks in the world today. Now, besides the general practice across the globe, and that practice is that every 5 to 8 years, a central bank is supposed to redesign or give some form of changes to its currency. The reason is because the central bank has to be in a position from time to time to have firm control of money supply in the country. Unfortunately, we have not had the luxury of carrying out this important aspect of our mandate in the last almost 19 years. 19 years. To the extent that I'd like to say this. In 2015, currency in circulation was 1.4 trillion naira. October 2022, currency in circulation had risen to 3.23 trillion naira. More than double in 7 years. Very, very unfortunate that it more than doubled in 7 years. Out of the 3.23 trillion naira, more than 2.7 trillion naira were outside the banking system. More than 2.7 trillion naira is held in people's homes. What that does is that it makes our mandate of monetary policy very difficult. When we are not in control, out of 3.23 trillion, what we see only in the banking system is just about 500 billion. There is no how our work, which you, the lawmakers, has made the law for us to carry out, our work cannot be effective. And that is the reason, and permit me, I will continue to say, and thank the President, that in 19 years, we've had an opportunity to carry out this important aspect of our mandate. We are grateful because to him because he listened. After we provided him all the needed explanations about what we are going through, or what we've been going through in the Monetary Policy Committee about conducting monetary policy, our work effectively. Now, the President graciously gave approval on October 6, 2022. And we had expected that by around December 15, the currency will begin to circulate. But we were lucky that we moved forward the circulation, and it started in November when the President launched the currency. And since then, the Central Bank has taken a number of actions to make sure that this currency circulates as new as it is. And let me say that so far, out of the 2.7 trillion, we have so far collected about 1.9, leaving between 900 billion and 1 trillion still outside. So I would say that we have received the cooperation of Nigerians to the extent that yesterday we can say we have, either in CBN vault, in the vaults of the banks, about 1.9 trillion, and we are happy that Nigerians are responding positively. towards making sure that we are able to conduct this important aspect of our mandate and we are able to do our work the way we are supposed to do it. But it's important for me to let Nigerians know, through you, what actions that we are taking to make sure that this is a hitch-free implementation program. We held several meetings with the deposit money banks and provided them with guidance notes on processes they must adopt in the collection of old notes and the distribution of new notes. These include specific directives to the banks to load the new notes into the automated teller machines, the ATM, nationwide to ensure an equitable and transparent mechanism for the distribution of the new notes to all Nigerians. We wanted to be sure that as the currency is coming out and is being given to the banks, issued to the banks, that the banks must go through a process that is equitable and transparent. We're saying we don't want the banks or customers to go and banks treat some as priority and some as less important. When they go to the counters, what you will find is that depending on the large size of business that you give to the bank, they may decide to give you 1 million naira over the counter, but me, because I give them lower or less business, maybe they give me just 20,000 and all that. We said no. Banks, as we are issuing you with this currency, load these monies into your ATM. Ladies and gentlemen, the ATM is a robot. You just give it a command, and you say the maximum anybody can collect is whether it's 20,000 or whether it's 40,000. That's what everybody collects, whether you are a priority or not a priority customer. That is the reasoning behind this decision. Everybody go to the ATMs. And of course, they've been loading those monies into the ATMs. Unfortunately, and indeed, I addressed the bankers on Sunday. And I expressed to them my disappointment, and in fact, disappointment of the president, disappointment of leaders in the country about the way this has gone on. Because many of us have unfortunately seen the new Naira, instead of being used for the purpose it is meant, the new Naira is being used in parties, in celebrations. And some of them said, well, maybe it's money from the ATM. I said no. Money from the ATMs are already broken. They are in leaflets. But what we saw being stamped on people at parties were packets of the new Naira notes, which means that they had breached certain aspects of the guidance notes we gave to them. And I told them, and indeed, when I met President Buhari, I told him that even the previous day, had met with the EFCC, ICPC, and the NFIU, and that we were now going to bring the EFCC, ICPC, NFIU to join us in monitoring the flow of this currency to our people. And I must say that I'm even very delighted. Only yesterday again, I even read that the DSS themselves have even started, which is what we want. So that everybody knows that we're conducting this activity to the best of our abilities. We're doing this for the good of Nigerians. We're doing this so the Nigerian economy can be better than it is today. And I am saying that we are beginning to see some of the benefits. Like I said, inflation last month somewhat trended, at least it's not rising, it's not stagnating, it's somewhat moderating. And we're thinking and expecting that they will continue to moderate. Exchange rate will stay relatively stable. And what we're even hoping with this exercise, that Naira can even get stronger. With this exercise, we have seen that with this we're able to support the activities of our security agencies, and I'm happy, and I'm sure we all know, or some of us know, that The incidence of banditry and ransom taking are somewhat at least reduced at this time, just making the job of security agencies more effective. So what we're saying is that what we have done here is for the good of Nigeria. It's for the good of Nigerians. We know in the process that some through print and electronic media to create an awareness on the redesigned notes to Nigerians, including collaboration with the National Orientation Agency to reach all Nigerians across multiple channels. Third, like some of us may have known, in an attempt to ensure that we achieve a higher rate of financial inclusion, we increase the rate of the banks. Now, we today have 1.5 million super agents. These are like people who are acting as banks, but they are not banks as such, in the sense that they don't have vaults, but they are people who have kiosks. They sell pepper, or they sell sweet, or they sell cola nuts, or they're in some form of shops, or they're in some form of restaurant. We made them our agents. So what does that mean? 1.5 million of them in different parts of this country. You don't have to be a bank with a banking license to do this. We brought them in. Out of this 1.5 million super agents that are agent bankers, where you can, before now, in your various localities, whether it's in your village, in my village, we have people who have POS, who have some form of shops, and you go there, you want to draw money, and then you take money or even pay money into your bank account through them. To open an account with them, you don't need all the rigors. They are called, what we call it, tier 3? Tier 3 banks. All you need is your name and your BVN and your phone number. You have an account. Very seamlessly. That's what we have done. Now, what am I saying? Out of these 1.5 million people, or agents, we specially deployed 30,000 of them. 30,000. And what do? We told them, through your banks and through our central bank officials, you collect some sum of money on a daily basis. And what do? You go back to where you are selling your sweet, where you are selling your cola nut. Do cash swap or cash exchange with Nigerians. Say for now, maximum 10,000. The reports that we get is that, because we have to work with data, majority, I'm talking close to about 80 to 90% of the people are just content with accepting 10,000 and below because that's what they have in those villages. We may have a few who may have more than 10,000 naira. Please just, if you can indulge me a little. Who may have more than 10,000, and we say if they go back again and again, they will be able to enjoy this benefit. 4, we deployed all our staff. We effectively shut down Abuja, shut down Lagos. All staff, go to your locality, not just your state, not just your local, go to your locality. We are lucky that we have in Central Bank, there's hardly anybody who says that in his locality there's nobody working in Central Bank. All over the 36s of the country. Those people, I doff my heart for them. They've left their job in the last 3.5 weeks. They have been in the villages, in the localities. They take cash, even when the banks are a little bit like dazzle about it. They take cash from the CBN, maybe take like 5 million. They go to those localities and do cash exchange for everybody. At the end of the day, they bring back old notes, 5 million naira, and they lodge it back in the CBN just to make sure that even when you don't have an account, you can exchange this money. That's what we have done, ladies and gentlemen. Now, yes, like I said, we saw a few failing on the part of the banks, and we appealed to EFCC, appealed to ICPC, appealed to NFIU. They are currently even working with our CBN officials now, nationwide, to make sure that this process goes on seamlessly. We are happy that I said earlier, so far, the exercise has achieved a success of over 75% in our villages and the rest of them. So, it is on the basis of that, we saw that there were a few complaints here and there, particularly those in the villages. And that was why we said, okay, we now give a 10-day extension for the currency to have, for more and more of this to be collected, and then we'll make more disbursements. But I want to make my last comment, subject to the content of the CBN Act Section 20, subsection 3, which says, even after the old currency has lost its legal tender status, that we are mandated to collect those monies. And I stand with the House of Representatives on this. What does that mean? You could have lost its legal tender status, in which case we have moved on, but you have your money that you have not been able to send into the bank. We certainly will give you the opportunity to bring them back into the CBN, redeem it. Either you pay it in your bank account or you want to do exchange, we give you. You will not lose your money. That is the assurance I give to Nigeria. I want to appeal. This is not an easy exercise. It is not an easy exercise, but we are happy that in 19 years, we are able to carry out this important aspect of our mandate. We are grateful that we are doing this. We want to do it, but we seek the support and cooperation of everybody. Support of Nigerians, cooperation of Nigerians. At these initial stages, there will be a few hitches, there will be a few glitches. We apologize. But I'm trying to say this. The overriding interest is the Nigerian economy. Make Nigerian economy stronger. Make Nigerian economy better. Because that is what we owe Nigerians in the position that God has put us today. And I would like to continue to seek your support that we please allow this program to succeed. Thank you very much, Chairman.
You can see the wisdom in why people say in every engagement, communication matters. Communication matters because communication is always important. It's only when you communicate. It's only when you deliver it. It's only when you interface as a government, then you have an opportunity to understand the import of every policy of government. And I've kept on saying, time without number, that the institution of the legislature here, in this case the House of Representatives, or by extension the National Assembly, and perhaps with the institution of the CBN, the central bank itself as an institution, are in every aspect of it components of the Nigerian government itself. The policy is a government policy being carried out by a component of Nigerian government. The institution here also is a component of the government, in fact an arm of government. So this is of course a welcome submission. It is a welcome answer, but unfortunately at a belated point. If you had earlier come, submitted this thing, of course that's the point. Hold it please. Hold it please. Hold it. I suppose we have only one chairman here, please.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Please.
Fire, chairman.
So only if you had communicated this to us much earlier, the crisis would not have come up at all. Nigerians would have gone home to sleep without any fear of let or hindrance. So I want to thank you so much for coming up with this submission, most especially your last statement, the confession you made about the position of the law, that the bank will at all times respect as sacrosanct the position of the laws of the land, of course, which is an act that established the central bank and also provided for the establishment of your good office as governor of the central bank. It's a law that is in black and white, very clear, written in black and white, and you have said it all. And I want to say on behalf of the committee, I thank you and your team for, of course, admitting the position of the law. And that is all we expected. And at this point in time, therefore, the ball now falls on our court. We must go around on the street, especially to our constituencies at this very critical period, to let people understand that the law remains sacrosanct. That no matter the deadline for the use of the old Naira as a legal tender, that opportunity offered by law to admit the old Naira note and redeem its value at every point in time stands untouched. Sacrosanct. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my respected members of the House and members of this committee, at this point, while I want to urge you, upon the strength of his last submission, which has of course been the crux of the matter of this committee, that let us, in a way, limit the number of questions that we'll ask. And while we're asking questions, I will expect every member to be within context. Of course, I know you have the feelings of your people. You will talk about the context of the peculiarities of our economy, peculiarities in respect of our population, peculiarity in respect of our exposure, the exposure of our people, I'm sure is all at the back of your mind. But I want to believe on the strength of his last paragraph submission, is like we have resolved ourselves. It's like we are almost on the same page with the central bank. But we must see to the implementation of this commitment you have given to this committee and to the House by extension. So I would like to lead the floor to members. Take 1, 2, 3, 4 questions. And questions must be within context. If you dare get out of context, I'll rule you out and I'll take the next question. Please. Honorable Babangida, please go ahead.
We have listened to the CBN governor. I will also listen all the measures they have taken. But Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, we have to balance them with current reality of what is happening. We have to balance it with the current reality. This policy, as good as it is, like the chairman has said, has created a lot of problems in terms of transactions, business transactions, due to the scarcity of these funds. And what I want to appeal to this committee, part of the document we will request from the CBN governor, since part of the mandate is for each and every commercial bank to submit a weekly report, to the CBN on the disbursements and the receipt of the new currency. I want to appeal to this committee to make that request, that the CBN governor should supply to this committee details of all reports of the disbursements of the new Naira notes versus what they have been receiving. Because he mentions that about 901 trillion is still out of circulation, but you could not make it very clear. Is he talking including the old notes or including the new note that is already in circulation?
Yes, thank you, Honorable Babangida, for that very good question. Operators, some of them complain that they are not being enough. So he now wants us to now request you, and I'm now requesting on behalf of the committee and the House, that we need from the central bank record of releases of the new Naira note to the commercial bank. So this will help us come up with a balanced report vis-a-vis to the submissions of the central bank operators who are here and complain that we are not giving enough. So this is a very good question. And I want to bank on it as the position of the committee and the House by extension, that we need official records of the releases of funds, the new Naira note to the commercial bank.
Weekly.
At least so far, from the time they started to date. Yes. Please. Yes. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, I must commend the CBN for this policy indeed. But Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, we know that policies are made for the benefit of the people. Policies are made for the benefit of the people and not the other way around. So the two areas I want the CBN governor to shed light on is, one, the huge queues on the ATM machines, that is one, and the cash swap policy. Mr. Chairman, because for me, I find it a bit absurd that someone will deposit, let's say, because the policy is intended to protect the vulnerable persons, like he categorized. If a vulnerable person deposits 200,000 Naira over the counter, and you cannot even get 50% of the value of the money deposited over that same counter, you have to put the person through the rigors of going to the automated teller machine to withdraw not more than 20, or as it may be, 30,000. Exactly. So at that point, Mr. Chairman, the vulnerable persons that are supposed to be protected by the policies are not in any way protected, because they are the ones that stand on the queue.
Thank you, Honorable Moma. Thank you.
No, hold on, Mr. Chairman, please.
Thank you.
I believe I'm under your protection. Just
yes,
one more
question.
Then secondly,
5 seconds.
Secondly, Mr. Chairman,
5 seconds.
Thank you. The cash swap policy he talked about, it is not realizable. How can you send super agents and all they can transact is 10,000 Naira? How much is a bag of rice? A bag of rice is 28,000 Naira. How much is the price of a cow? So when the person, because this policy, the cash swap policies, is for the people in the hinterland. people that don't have access to ATM machines. So when a woman sells a bag of rice and comes back, and how is she supposed to transact again when the highest she can get, if she has to swap the currency, is 10,000 naira? It doesn't make sense. The person is not protected. And finally,
please, you are all aware that the Senate has gone on break. But for the purposes of this assignment and in the wisdom of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who cares for matters that affect the people, we are still in session. The House itself that is supposed to reconvene this morning at 11 o'clock is holding on now, waiting to receive the report of this committee. Only when we accept to be very effective and coordinate ourselves within the context of time, we cannot with him, with the leadership, and he has taken upon himself as a commitment that at any point the committee or the House would like his attention to come, or any of his deputies, he will definitely do that. So let us be very brief in the questions we are asking, and we should not be tautologous in asking questions.
So the two issues
that represent the federal constituency up from Borno State, the most displaced state in Nigeria. My questions are straightforward, sir, based on the submission of the CBN and in line with the policies. You made mention that we have super agents. Out of the 1.5 million super agents, they took 30,000 to do certain assignment. My concern is the downtrodden people from the grassroots, people from the village. The internet connectivity in Nigeria shows less than 60% coverage in this country. And then looking at the policies that he is trying to implement, 30,000 divided by the total number of the local government, you will only have 38 super agents. We do it with 300,000. 10,000, it will amount, a community will just spend nothing, less than ₦1 million. And the total number of ATM machines across Nigeria is less than 20,000. In Akwa Ibom alone, the villages is over 2,666. Not to that number. So the ATM machine in Nigeria up to now is less than 21,000.
Thank you, Engineer.
Thank you. You said 2 minutes. I need to make 1 minute.
2 minutes is by my watch, not by your watch. Please,
let me just say the last one. I think 5 seconds, sir. The whole issue, we received the briefing from the Deputy Governor last time, and then she gave assurance that there is a counter withdrawal. I think the banks, he needs to give this directive to the banks to start the counter withdrawal. It will ease the tension. Because most of the small-scale businesses that have enterprise, not the ability companies, will have access to funds so that if they are legitimate with their document, they can do the transaction. This will reduce the tension in the business community.
Thank you for being short and precise.
So this 100 million is what we are posting, because we know that when it comes to the issue of cash, Kano constitutes a major stakeholder. So we are just surprised that Kano is being shortchanged in an issue of dispatching those new currencies to Kano. We discovered that only 100 million as against what was given to the 150, and that is what is causing a serious issue of money shortages in Kano. So I would want the CBN government to please give us a question and answer this question.
The only concern, the details there will be not to mention about the state. So it's the issue of where I come from, As far as I'm concerned, we have not seen the signs of any releases to end of the bank. In the sense that you go to end of the bank in Ilorin, so that people line on about 5,000 in an ATM. Even at the bank, you can even get 10,000 naira from the bank, whether through ATM or through directly account. That's one. Talk less of the rural areas. For example, my constituency, I have 12 rural areas within my constituency, which I have 21. Look at it, every pressure is on me on a daily basis. I have to go and post out to get this new notes. That's my question. I want to speak to the governor to see how you address my people in Kwara State, more exactly my constituency. And few of these chairman, after developing proceed to the plenary and CBN to forward how to resolve the problem of masses and various Mr. CBN Governor,
let me appreciate you, let me commend you for this lofty policy of your organization. My only worry is the fact that when this policy came up, there was this expectation that this policy is going to help strengthen our Naira against the dollar. But today, as of today, from my observation, I think the dollar is even higher than what it was before the policy came on board. Is it not the policy that's supposed to help, strengthen the Naira? So I would like you to throw more light. Why the dollar is getting, higher on the basis? That's the position right now. Thank you.
Yes, it was. What has deployed the deputies presiding here? Can you give a direct to all the banks on ATM machines so that they can ease this tension? That minimum withdrawal should not be 5,000. Maybe you raise it up a little bit on their automated teller machine. If that goes up, I'm sure the tension will go down. Most of them they bring it as low as 5,000. Maybe as a regulator, give it to them that minimum withdrawal at this moment should be 20,000 naira, so that will ease the tension.
Thank you for that beautiful argument.
When are you opening across the counter business transactions in Nigeria? Because we are suffering everywhere we are suffering.
Honorable members, and because of the fact that I said the time is of essence, we have asked relevant questions. Some of the questions, more or less, are even repeating previous questions. So at this point in time, I would like to plead and have the leave of the committee members to wind it up. The governor, you have taken note of some of the questions. Some of them are good advice given to you. Please, that is what I'm saying. Of course, he has to respond. You have taken note of the questions, observations, and the interventions made by honorable members. On a final note now, I would like to yield the floor. Who will be the last person to speak? The mover of the motion on the floor, who of course has the right to make some comments here. And I'm giving you 2-3 minutes to do that, Honorable Sade Soli, please.
We're behind this motion, basically because it touches the lives of the people that we represent, including you. So that is nothing personal. If anybody insinuates to you that it is personal, he is trying to drive some benefits from you, but that is nothing personal. Mr. Governor, the issue bordering the Nigerian that we are representing is the availability of these new notes. The availability of these new notes. That is the only concern Nigerians have. Then the second one, which the House resolved, was the issue of the limit in withdrawals, where you said 20,000 per individual per 1 week and 5 million for corporate entity, for 5 million for 1 week. And then the most shocking thing is you said there is no over-the-counter withdrawals. How do we achieve this directive? That is actually the problem. People are not able to withdraw over the counter based on your directives. And that is the challenge. Why did I say so? Not everybody can go to ATM machine. Because the ATM machine, we don't have more than 450,000 pieces of ATM machines. Some of them are not even functional. You need to understand that fact. If you have a data that was presented to you is a theoretical data, the practical data on ground, I would want you to commission one of the officers, one of the honest officers that you have, let them go around the ATMs at 5 p.m. You will see the queue. So we are asking, kindly allow this withdrawal over the counter of this limit that you have given the banks to give, as long as you have this currency available. Mr. CBN Governor, the last question that I asked and is begging for an answer. If the CBN is able to determine the money in circulation, that is CIC, you should be able to determine how much money they have sent out of circulation, in circulation. How much money you have sent out to circulate. So the issue is how much money of this new currency that you have sent out to circulation. We will do the mathematics. We'll do the arithmetics, and then we'll find out if the money is available or there are some shenanigans going out within the banking sectors. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sada. And that goes that Mr. Governor. I want to thank everyone for his patience and of course for the understanding of members of my committee. I thank you and members of your team, the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. I would like to at this point allow you the floor.
This ambitious program that we embarked upon. I want to thank you, and I must say this. I have taken down all the questions. I have close to about 15 questions here written. And what I want to say is that not only that we provide the committee and the House with reports, those reports are available, we provide reports to you, but those ones that require that we take note of issues, amend one aspect here, amend the others there, I can assure you that is the reason we're here. That is the reason we must prove to you that we are ready to listen to you. We will look at them and we will respond. But I still say this, gentlemen and ladies, this is a policy program that has been put in place for the good of Nigeria, for the good of the Nigerian economy. Over time, we will all come back and celebrate that we did this. I repeat, this is a program that should be done every 5 to 8 years. We've just had a rare opportunity to do it, to conduct this in 19 years. And I'm very optimistic that it is good and better for the Nigerian economy, which is overarching for all of us. And I want to crave your indulgence, and I repeat, there may be some pains, and I've taken your points about where there are pains, but we'll make sure that we'll resolve it, but we continue to crave your understanding and your support for this program. Please, I thank you very much for your attention, sir.
Thank you. Right Honorable Lawan Kenken to move for the adjournment of this sitting. Distinguished members of the press, by the Governor of the Central Bank, thank you for this engagement. And like I said, we will stand by. If there is anything, we will bring you back to the podium. Thank you and God bless Nigeria.